everyone? I'm Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. How's everyone doing? We have like 2 weeks until training camp coming around. How about that? I've been mentioning to you the last couple days that these almanacs, these advanced analytics books are starting to come out, and Warren Sharp's was released yesterday. And reading the Steelers section, I have some excerpts I want to read off to you and react to and talk about, and a lot of numbers stuff. And it really paints Matt Canada in a terrible light. And I don't think any of us are going to be standing on the table that he was good. That's not my intentions here, nor are my intentions by any means to say to kick him when he's gone and destroy Matt Canada, because this is going to make him look really bad. And frankly, I thought he was really bad. So again, I'm not in his corner. But the purpose of this, to reiterate what happened to him last year with Canada, is basically to tell you there's nowhere to go but up. It's going to get better. So here we go. Okay. Sharp in the section really talks about after week 2. If you remember, they opened the season with the Niners and then the Browns. They were 1-1. But you got to think, Canada and the offensive staff, well, he's not alone, had all offseason to prepare. You know, and this is how they entered the 2023 season after 2 games. How about this? So on early downs in the first half, if the Steelers were in shotgun, okay, it's pretty easy tell, they threw the ball 92% of the time. Third downs are a different situation. Late in games are different situations because you're losing by a million, blah, blah, blah. Early downs in the first half, they threw 92% of the time. Where if they were under center in those situations, they ran the ball 85% of the time. I mean, you talk about just telling the world what you're going to do. I mean, nobody would have been that predictable just based on being under center versus shotgun. I mean, that's insane. And we're not talking about third downs. I mean, we're talking about early downs when it's the easiest time to be successful. It's easier to be successful on early downs because there's not as many blitz and exotic things, and you can dictate things as an offense early on. But if Pickett was under center on an early down, they ran it 85% of the time. If he was in shotgun or first or second down, they were passing it 92% of the time. And didn't think people would catch on? I mean, come on. That's what you come up with from an entire offseason? They also were having Pickett throw outside the numbers a ton. So 60% of his early down passes, again, this is just through 2 games, in the first 3 quarters were outside the numbers. That's the 4th highest in the league. They're much more difficult to complete, even if they're shorter. I mean, you're throwing the ball a longer distance. They also used pre-snap motion at the NFL's lowest rate, refusing to give Pickett answers to the test before the snap, like most smart play callers do. I mean, that's his exact words there. So I'm not a Pickett defender, but I've said this a lot. I also don't think we ever really got a great evaluation of him because they made things so hard on a rookie quarterback. Okay, so then week 4 versus Houston. Pickett threw 63% of his first down passes behind the line of scrimmage, the highest rate of any quarterback that week. He averaged 0.5 air yards per attempt, the lowest of anyone that week. So his first down passes, he had a 1.9 yards per attempt. I mean, again, in early downs when you should dictate things as a coordinator, play caller. 0 first down passes gained more than 5 yards. So through week 4, first 4 games of the year, again, you had all offseason to prepare. You knew your opponent's coming up. They had 26 drives in the first half of games. 1 made it to the red zone through 4 games. Their first half drive averaged the fewest plays per drive, 4.3. They give you 3 for free. And that is because they average the highest rate of 3 and outs. Not surprising. An insane 15 of 26 drives went 3 and out. The worst in the NFL. The NFL average is only 34%. Through the first month of the season, it was 58%. 61% of their set of downs reached third down, also the highest rate in the league. League average is 47. There's a big theory out there. You get first downs on the first two downs. Don't ever get the third down. They got through the first month of the season, the highest rate in the league. Only 55% of the Steelers' set of downs even created a new set of downs or touchdown. The lowest rate in the league. League average is over 70%, and they're at 55. This is for the first month of the season. Insanely bad stuff. All right, so BetOnline is your number one source for your summer sports this season for Major League Baseball, golf, and many, many, many other sports. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet online, where the game starts. So again, I'm not trying to throw dirt on Matt Canada's grade. But some of the stuff, almost all of the stuff, is ungodly bad, from a numbers perspective. And I'm backing it all up here. Nowhere to go but up, folks. So, okay. Since Canada became the coordinator in 2021, NFL teams averaged 22.4 points per game. Okay. And since 2021, it all basically depends on, does the defense allow above average points or below average points? Again, average is 22.4. So if the defense held their opponent to below average points, 22 points or fewer, the Steelers won 86% of their games, 19-3-1. Hold the opponent to under league average, 86%. If the defense allowed their opponent to score above average points, more than 22, the Steelers were 1-15. They won 6% of those games. That shift, 86 versus 6, was the largest in the NFL. Since 2021, when Canada took over, the Steelers' first quarter offense ranked 31st in yardage and 31st in points scored. During that time, during Canada's reign, so to speak, 29th in yards per play, 29th in designed pass rate, 30th in third down avoidance, number 2 most total third down attempts, number 28th in total offensive points scored, 28th in points per minute of possession, 32nd in explosive play rate. And yet they were 6 games above 500 with a .559 win percentage, which was 11th during this time while Canada was there. And Pittsburgh only scored 925 points offensively. That was the 5th lowest. And they scored the 5th lowest point total with Canada, but had the 11th best winning percentage. It's insane. Of all the 13 teams to score fewer than 1,100 points in the past 3 years, the Steelers are the only team to have a cumulative winning record. They were 28, 22-1. But they were only one of 13 teams to score 1,100 points or less. Most other teams have 30-plus losses and 20 or fewer wins. I mean, as you would expect. Not only do the Steelers have a cumulative winning record in the last 3 years, they have a winning record each and every year and made the playoffs twice. It basically comes down to this. I mean, a good defensive performance almost always meant a Steelers win. A bad defensive performance almost always meant a Steelers loss. It's really that simple. It's crazy. Okay, here's another angle. Let's dig into the splits between the first 3 quarters and the fourth quarter, because this is really the reason the Steelers have produced their winning records year in and year out. Like, remember, I've told you many times, no one over the last couple of years has more wins from games they were losing when the fourth quarter entered. I mean, the defense just comes in and saves the day. Last year in the first 3 quarters of games, the Steelers trailed by a total of 49 points and scored just 209 total points. That's 12.3 points per game, which is 27th. In the fourth quarter, they averaged just 4.6 points per game, which is still only 25th, but still outscored their opponents by 29 points in the fourth quarter last year. They were the 6th NFL team in history to win 10 games despite being outscored on the season by more than 20 points. They're the first team in NFL history to win double-digit games while being outscored by 20-plus points, despite holding their opponents to fewer than 325 points. They did this, though, by recording 6 takeaways in the fourth quarter. That was the most. That's something that worries me that's not sustainable. And scoring 19 points off turnovers, which was also the second most. It's 6 fourth quarter takeaways and scored 19 points off it. The Steelers won 4 games when they were trailing entering the fourth quarter. First most in the NFL last year and 9th most since 2000. They've won 15 games that they've trailed entering the fourth quarter. I've told you that's way more than anybody else in the league since 2020. Since Canada took over in 2021, because the Steelers average only 11.7 points per game through 3 quarters, the Steelers have trailed entering the fourth quarter a league-high 34 games. Yet they won 12 of those games, which is the most. They had a plus 25 margin of points off turnovers thanks to takeaways in the fourth quarter. That's by far the most in the NFL by a mile. The only other team to win over 7 games is the Chiefs, the best in the NFL. And they've only done it 10 times. The Steelers were at 15, which is bonkers. So the Chiefs have 10. No one else has over 7. Steelers have 15 games they were losing when the fourth quarter entered. Now they've forced 49 turnovers, which is first, and scored 110 points off turnovers, which is third since 2020. And that's a huge reason it goes to winning these games. Now, I'm going to wrap it up with this. I mentioned that turnovers can be fluky year to year, and counting on them on the fourth quarter to bail you out from having awful offense is a tough way to live. And it is, and I don't think it's sustainable. But my hunch also is Tomlin's staff. Remember the penalty stuff we talked about earlier in the week? They cause a lot of offensive penalties. I think that they figure out offenses as they go along, switch up their coverages, and bait quarterbacks into incompletions. I also think they're physically tough and they're in shape and they don't wither as the game goes on. And I also think, number one, more than anything, you rush the passer well, turnovers and big plays come. Now, I also think you're better on the back 7, though, than you were during this stretch, during the Canada time, when the defense had to bail out the offense in the fourth quarter over and over and over. Minka's not going to have 0 interceptions again. Your team speed, which I keep dwelling on, is way better in the back 7. Your linebackers go from a decent early in the season, horrible late in the season, to now, I think, way above average with 4 quality off-the-ball linebackers. That goes a long way to creating turnovers, covering space, allowing fewer big plays. So, again, I'm not here just to kill Canada, but some of that stuff is insane. I mean, like the fact that if the defense allowed more than league average points, you lose. I mean, it's just that cut and dry. It's that black and white. As opposed to if the defense allowed less than league average points, you win. And it almost has nothing to do with what your inept offense does. You know, I mean, it's that simple. It's bonkers to me. And again, I look at it as a glass half full because the offense is going to be better. I mean, it's going to be better than all that ridiculousness I just cited here, you know? So that's my thoughts. Doesn't mean to win the Super Bowl. You know, there's things that could go wrong, of course, but wow. All right, guys, take care. Over and out.